everyone. Welcome to another episode of Vision Quest. My name's Ashley Appap. I am a writer and comedian from Melbourne, Australia, and this is my podcast. And what do we do here? I don't know. I think we talk to people that I enjoy about things that they're passionate about, okay? And if you don't know that already, welcome. You're new, and I'm really sorry for the aggressive tone. How'd you find this? Please tell me. I'm grateful that you're here. Basically, what this is I ask a series of questions to every guest that I have on, and then they talk about something that they're very passionate about. They can be angry about it, they can be happy about it. And those are the two emotions of the human spectrum, so it's only those two. And today, we have a new thing happening, never before seen in this podcast. We've got two guests. One, Cup, and of course the Cup is the podcast. We have Cool and Smart here, Barney Pollock and Matt Young. Welcome, boys.
Thank you for having us, Ashley.
Howdy, Ashley.
Oh.
Yeah, what is it? Two boys, one cup?
One cup. Two boys, one cup. And the cup is the podcast.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love this cup.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, it's warm. It's one of those ones where the more hot liquid you put in it, it like reveals a pattern.
And the picture is of a still from Two Girls, One Cup.
Yeah, but your faces are photoshopped onto the faces.
Yeah, and we're smiling.
Oh, that's very cool. But can the Sydney Opera House be in the background of that image?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. Yep,
Would you like Guy Sebastian inside the Sydney Opera House in like like there's a window we can see in, and there's a tiny little Guy Sebastian or something?
You've read my mind.
Yeah. I want a spectrum of Guy Sebastian though. I want all the way from when he started Australian Idol to current. Yeah, Go the Fro, exactly. All the way up to his sort of current stage. From Angels Brought Me Here all the way to another one of his songs.
Correct. That should be your knowledge of his work.
Yeah, I was thinking about one of his songs the other day. I've forgotten it now. He's got some bangers.
There's that Battlefield song.
I think that was it. No, it's Battle Scars.
Battle Scars. Oh, so close yet so far.
Because Barney and I saw a really great TikTok that was set to the tune of it, where a woman pretended to get shot a lot. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was something.
Shout out to the creators of TikTok. This one's for you.
Hey, yeah. Big ups to the Talkers.
The Talkers.
The Talkers. We're off to a roaring start. Could you both just tell anyone out there a little bit about...
That's all you need to know.
We haven't introduced ourselves at all.
No. Who are you?
We are. I'm Matt Young. The other guy's Barney Pollock. We are a duo called Cool and Smart. We do sketch and improv and podcast together. And we've been doing it for like 5 years. We love it. 5 years? That's crazy. It can't be 5 years.
Is it 5 years? No, it can't. No, it's like 3, 4.
Let's say 5's a nice round number. It's five long years.
Long years. I've aged a lot.
Yeah.
No
No one's disputing that.
I got grey hairs.
What are you going to do to celebrate the 5 years? You got any fun plans? Any anniversary gifts for each other?
We're going to fight to first blood.
Yeah, we are going to fight to first blood.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, it's been on the cards. We've been building up to it. Yes, whoever can spill the blood first of the other, they win a special prize.
Ooh.
Which is of course, Barney.
Talkers, a TikTok account.
A single TikTok account with 0 followers, 0 views, 0 videos.
Yeah, we've held off on creating a TikTok account up until the results of the fight are established, and then one of us gets to control the TikTok account, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, we are Cool and Smart. we have a podcast called the Cool and Smart Book Club, which is we talk about books, and a couple of people have said to us they've really enjoyed it, but they only enjoyed it after they realised that there's no bit. We actually do just really like books. They said they were sort of just waiting. They were waiting for us to start taking the piss. But there's no joke. We just both really, really like books.
Which is lovely, because I think for those who know you are a couple of shit stirrers. So it's nice to hear you talk about something.
We stir the pot.
Exciting. Yeah, you stir the pot. You stir the pot.
You mix it all up like a gumbo.
Like a gumbo.
You stir up the cup, and you are the two boys.
Yeah.
One Pup. All right. Let's get into these questions.
Sorry, just quickly, Ashley, I hate to derail you again, but I just want to commend you on, I just saw in the Zoom video, you went to clap and then you didn't because you knew it would affect the podcast. And I think that was I really admire that.
Yeah, I've really
That's
been
really
working
professional.
Thank you. I've been working on restraint and just doing things for the benefits of others, not just for my own sense of joy. So, I'm more miserable than ever, but it doesn't matter if others are happy.
That's it. People please.
Wow.
People please, people please, people please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you just clap, Matt.
Oh, no. I'm such an... I'm
And that is the mark of a selfish person.
He's a vampire!
I'm a vampire.
We're going to ask in alphabetical order. So, Barney first, Matt second.
I'm a little bit concerned, Ash, that with me going first, that Matt is just going to steal all my answers. Like he'll just, I'll see him with a pen and paper copying them, and then he'll just rehash what I said. But yeah, see, there we go. He's grabbing it now. Like, so just be aware of that. Like, I'm happy to go first, but just be aware.
Right. I think we need to insert a rule that even if truthfully you have the same answer, Matt's at a disadvantage because he's to come up with truly original ideas. And if you have the same answer, he's just going to have to think of something new.
Yeah, and I also think it's really important to recognise that this podcast is a competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a battlefield.
It's a fight.
Guy Sebastian.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's all good.
So close.
And that's a point off from your tally. Sorry, Ash.
Yeah, I'm in the competition as well.
I'm down a point for the clapping. You're down one for Battle Scars versus Battlefield. Sorry.
Okay. So actually, what you're writing down is the point system.
Yeah. And also Barney's answers.
Yeah. Perfect.
See, there you go.
All right. So, Barney.
Yeah.
The first question is, what did you want to be when you grew up and why do you think that is?
When I grew up, I wanted to be a paleontologist. See, there we go. He's writing down the answer. I wanted to be a paleontologist because I love the movie Jurassic Park. And why did I love the movie Jurassic Park? Because I was obsessed with powerful lizards, which is famously what's that movie's about. And I also I was a big fan of like trucks and trains and planes and helicopters. That movie has got, I think, all of them. And I really wanted to be Sam Neill's character. I used to wear that little... Is it a cravat? He just would tie
a neckerchief.
Neckerchief. I used to wear one because I was like, I'm him, and I would tell... I'm Sam Neill, and I'd tell people all the time, like family, friends and stuff, they'd be like, oh, what'd you do today? And I'd be like, yeah, I found dinosaurs in the backyard. They found bones. You should come check it out.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Sam Neill's character in that movie is that in like the first 10 minutes of him being introduced, he just absolutely verbally destroys a child.
Yeah. Great sense of respect, that man.
Yeah, I imagine that's one of the reasons you wanted to be him as well, Barn. So you could be like that.
Yeah. So I could destroy a child. Yeah. That
do you think? Sense. What do we think the difference? Is there a difference between a cravat and an ascot, or are they the same thing?
Ooh, I don't know.
What's an ascot?
I'm googling it.
A Scot is a person from Scotland.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And an
differences.
ass is a donkey.
Ascot refers to a type of necktie commonly used in formal settings and is secured to the shirt by being tied in a simple knot and then secured to the shirt front. On the other hand, cravat refers to all neckwear and can refer to bow ties, ascots, neckerchiefs, and even neckties. There you go.
So all ascots are cravats, but not all cravats are ascots.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
Cool. And I can't see the picture that you're looking at here, Ash, but is an ascot, is it not forward? Does the knot go at the front?
Yes. My old boss used to wear ascots every single day, and they're like only formal wear, but he'd wear them with trackies. And it was a move. He was an 80-year-old crazy man, so he did it. He rocked it.
They make me think of like fancy women in Florida, that sort of thing, in like maybe the 50s or even like earlier, like 30s, 40s, like rocking around with a big hat. Like I'm thinking Audrey Hepburn.
Big hat, small chief. on neck.
Big hat, small
Small
chief.
chief.
That's also another thing that Barney and I refer to each other as.
Big hat, small
Yeah.
chief.
Big hat and small chief, yeah.
What does
Yep, that's
chief
right.
refer to when you're talking about each other, though?
I just call Barney that because he's like the chief in the sense that he's a real leader, but he's just smaller than me, so I call him small
Yeah.
chief.
Yeah, that's it. It's got nothing to do with our bodies. It's got to do with our spirits.
And that's cultural appropriation.
Man, cancelled again.
Yeah.
Yeah, cancel it. God damn it. Anyway, see you guys.
God damn it. If I could just go 1 week.
One goddamn week.
Matthew, what did you want to be when you grew up, and why?
Ash, you've just lost another point. I'm sorry. My name's Matt, not Matthew.
No. I've changed it.
You changed it? Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't
Yeah.
aware. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a blue tack scientist. That was my big goal. I was really obsessed with blue tack, and I wanted to grow up to be a person who specialized in the study of blue tack, different applications, all that kind of thing. My sister used to have like a nail care kit, which had it was almost like a drill, but you could use it to, shape nails and that sort of stuff. And I always used to put blue tack on top of it and use it like a potter's wheel and manipulate the blue tack and make it into little shapes and stuff. And then, but my first main experiment was I shoved a bit of it up my nose, and it stayed there for like a week, and then it came out in a torrent of blood.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and after that, I think my career sort of came to a grinding halt. But
Yeah.
the dream's still there.
I was going to ask
so
what's the best thing you ever did with blue tack, but it sounds like that was it.
Definitely the nose stuff, yeah. Other than that, I can't really think of anything cool I actually did with it. This week, or maybe last week, was actually the first time I've ever run out of blue tack in my entire life. I'm actually freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, I always have like at least one big blob somewhere. I used to love to have the colourful packs. Remember when they came
Yeah.
out? Blew my
Oh
mind.
yeah, everyone's meant to have a blob. You're always got to have a blob, and I'm blobless. I'm sans blob, and I feel like I've lost a hand because I really love sticking stuff to walls. I love having just stuff on my walls that I can look at. Well, I'm talking pictures. I'm talking pieces of blank paper to draw on. You name it. I like it on my
Everything.
walls. Yeah. Posters.
Someone new has entered the podcast space, and it's. I'm just kidding. There was a
I know,
cat
he's
for a
been-
moment.
Well, I think it was like the second podcast we recorded, and the cat very pointedly jumped up on the table, literally walked over to my laptop, slapped the mouse pad, and fucked up the recording. Like, just ruined it. Like, we haven't been able to get audio quality right on our podcast since.
Nope. Yeah, I feel very self-conscious about talking about him because whenever you talk to people about their cats, maybe not less so for dogs, but about cats, they're always like, oh, my cat's the biggest asshole. My cat's the craziest cat. My cat's like a dog. You would have to see him fetch. And you're always like, it's a fucking cat, bro. Like, come on. So, I want to say nothing about him apart from that story, which it's just an event with no associated cliches nor stereotypes around cat behavior attached. It's just that was the action. That was it.
Yeah.
I think we all want to go on record as saying that we like Reese.
Yeah, we like him. That's it.
We like Reese.
Yeah.
Team Reese.
Yeah, he won't be done. Matt, I can't believe the other day we were talking. Me and Matt were talking about how was it Newton sticking a fucking what is it? A needle in his eye?
Isaac Newton stuck it's called a bodkin. It's like the sort of leather sewing needle you'd use to sew boots. And one day he just took it, stuck one in his eye socket, avoiding the eye, jammed it just as far back as he could go, and just wriggled it around just to see what had happened. And apparently nothing happened, but he was pretty insane after that. So I'd say something happened.
It's so wild. But you're like him with the blue tack.
Yeah, that's what I just realised too. I was just like,
Yeah.
just shove a bit of blue tack up there. Great.
Yeah.
But you know
Wow.
what? Smarter, because you're ahead of your time. You're a child, and he was a full-on grown-up.
He was a grown-up. He was, he was fully old and stuff, whereas I was like 6.
Yeah.
So clearly
Child
a hyper
genius.
genius. Yeah,
Yeah.
love that.
All right, I'm going to ask the next question. Barney, what's your
Yep.
favourite thing about yourself?
Ooh. Oh, here we go. Matt's making another note. Okay. So my favorite thing about myself is that my name's Matt Young and I'm from Tasmania. Got him. No, my favorite thing is that I've realized through I'm studying psychology at the moment, and we have to do statistics a lot. And I've realized I'm not very good at maths, but with persistence, I've been able to like understand it, and it's made me realize that I am just smart enough that although I won't, like maybe if I don't get something immediately, if I persist with it, I will eventually get it. So that, and then tied with that is also brain related in that a lot of the time the next logical step that I think will happen in a conversation or if people are making a list is not the same. It's like my brain, because I got turbo brain, is going like 150 kilometers an hour. Everyone else is in a school zone. And so I'll be like go from like, like A to B to C ideas. I go from like A to W.
Yeah.
And I like that because you get a lot of weird looks, and the weird looks are funny.
Yeah, and the weird looks, weed out the dumb ding-dongs that you don't want around anyway. So fuck them.
Weed out the fuck the ding-dongs.
Fuck them. Any ding-dongs out there, get the turn off your, you don't even just pause this, turn off your device. Walk out of your house, wherever you are, walk out, go to the nearest body of water, walk into it, don't come out.
Yeah. Shit.
This is an
drown.
pod.
Drown. Okay.
Here's the thing about me. I don't actually have a doorbell anymore. You know why? Because I hate ding-dongs.
Oh.
Ah.
Yeah. And that was some of the best words to ever come out of that mouth.
Thank you so much. That's my favorite thing about me. That line I just said.
What else?
Can I have a go? Hang on. I don't have a doorbell anymore because don't ding me, you dong. Drown!
Drown.
A to W. A to W.
Yeah, that's called A to W, baby.
It's called A to D. A to drown.
When Barney started doing improv, and one of his teachers was like, "Yeah, we really try to go from A to C." Barney was like, "What? What? You guys are all freaking. What's your deal over here? Who are these weaklings? Who are these ding dongs?
Who are these ding dongs? Drown." And then he rounded everyone up. He got his little improvised, of course. He's improvised like noose, tied everyone up, because they had to continue because they were still within the window of the class, so they had to pretend that there was no noose around them. And he dragged them down to St Kilda Beach, and that's how all those people died. Did everyone remember that time?
Remember that were 24 people? Yeah.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Matt, what's your favourite thing about yourself?
Man, I got heaps. No, that is actually one of the sort of the things I do. A couple of years ago, I was doing a business skills class at university. It was called Business Skills for the Creative Industries. And you kind of had to develop like a business plan and do market research. And because the product I was selling was myself in terms of doing like comedy and that sort of stuff, I had to do like market research about what people liked and didn't like about me, which was kind of weird. But one of the answers that really stuck with me was, it was like, what's the thing you like most about Matt? And someone's answer was confidence. And then it was like, what do you dislike most about Matt? And their answer was confidence. And I agree with that. That's the thing I like probably most about myself. I feel very confident most of the time in doing stuff, and I'm very happy to try anything because I usually, kind of the opposite of Barney in terms of the persistence thing. I'm like, usually I think things are probably going to be okay. No, I'll figure it out straight away.
That's a good way to get through things.
And the other thing that sort of relates to what Barney was saying as well, in terms of how he so easily goes from like A to W, another thing I really like about myself is I'm really good at finding connections between things. And I think that's maybe a reason why Barney and I work so well together, is when he goes from A to W, I'm pretty quick to figure out B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, and like find the connections that go from A to W, and I think that works really well.
That is so true of how we, like if we're writing, I'm like, orangutans in the Nile River, and then you're like, the orangutans are pharaohs, and they got there by boat. Like, so I just, I say two things and go to sleep, and then Matt has to like do the like connections on a board.
It's genuinely that. We sit on two separate couches. I have a laptop in front of me. Barney smokes a vape like the fucking caterpillar from Alice in Wonderland. He just honks away and just spews ideas out, and I just have a script in front of me and try and put all the notes together in something that's coherent.
Incredible.
And it works.
It works. Good job. Love this. Love a team. We love a team.
We stand a team.
We stand teams.
Okay, next question. What's your favourite feeling? Barney, you have the floor.
Ooh. Oh, here we go. So my favorite feeling, without a doubt, is that feeling, the elated excitement you get when something unexpectedly good happens, like either out of the blue or you were expecting something bad and the outcome actually ended up being really good. Or you were hoping for something good to happen and then it does, that. And I feel like it's so connected because that, I would assume, is correlated with the release of dopamine in your brain. And I need it. So it's obviously connected to that. Give me! So that is definitely my favorite feeling. And then when something really awesome happens and you get the kind of afterglow after the initial excitement, there's that sweet, sweet afterglow of when you talk about it for hours and you're like, wow, could you believe it? Wow. And you just say the same thing over and over again, but in slightly different ways. That's definitely my favorite feeling.
Beautiful.
I think it's interesting that you said that, Barn, because it reminds me of that meme where it's the only three things you actually enjoy are dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin or whatever.
Yeah.
The three and it's funny when you say I guess what I'm enjoying is dopamine, and it's a pretty reductive answer to your question, Ash. But you can just be I really like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. I love endorphins. Yeah, I love feeling good.
I like adrenaline. Oh.
Yeah, adrenaline's good.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. All right, Matt. What about you?
It's true.
Favorite feeling?
My favorite feeling is probably Barney reminded me of a time when the first time I went to an escape room.
Oh.
And that was just that was genuinely, felt like I could feel the chemicals swarming my brain. You're getting dopamine from rewards, you're getting serotonin from I don't know what serotonin's from, but you're getting...
Teamwork? I don't know.
I think so, teamwork, and oxytocin as well as teamwork. And it's just this it was that feeling of we were meant to do one escape room. We ended up doing 4. We cleaned out. We did every escape room in the building. And then when we left, we went home, and for the next 8 hours, we just talked about doing escape rooms. We designed our own escape room. We were just
Holy shit.
it was just that full flood of just that discovering something new that you're really interested in and being oh my God, this ticks every box for me, creatively, in terms of doing something with friends, socially, everything like that. That's one of my a memory I can pinpoint of one of the best feelings that I've ever had in my life. But another one was I went to a meditation retreat a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago, and it's the wankiest thing in the world. I can't believe I've actually gotten to a point in my life where I'm able to say this. But there was one point on the last day of the retreat, we were doing a walking meditation. It was up in Healesville, and I literally looked over at I just looked out at the landscape, and I stopped walking, and I wept. It was just so beautiful.
Barney shaking his head.
Yeah. I'm pissed off about that.
Your joy makes me furious.
Oh,
no, it was wonderful. It was a genuine experience of awe, and it was very powerful. It was very cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I just back to escape rooms. Fucking love escape rooms. I absolutely identify with that. But yeah, I know what you mean in terms of awe. Sometimes I have a nephew who's 14 months, and he's just all of a sudden able to do stuff. Within 2 weeks, he went from just being bleh, to now being basically going to my sister and being can you please put me on the toilet so I can pretend to poo like you do? And she puts him on the toilet, and he's in his nappy, and he'll go, ugh, and then be okay, and then get and pretend simulate wiping and flushing and everything. And
that's wicked.
She told me he did that, and I said I teared up. I was
yeah.
What the fuck?
Oh, in terms of kids stuff as well, I used to work at a primary school, and every year, clockwork, they do a concert every year, and clockwork, every time I watch them sing, watching a choir of children singing always brings me to tears.
That's very sweet, but also problematic potentially. So
what's problematic about that? It's beautiful. You're watching them all. They're all 80% of the kids are shit.
Yeah,
but most kids cannot sing, but you're just watching them. They're just because they're just loving it. They're just having a good time, being this is a song by frickin' One Direction or whatever, and I love this song, so I'm gonna just yell it, and that's singing to me. And you're just oh, God, look at you go. It's beautiful.
I will say, I was joking, not problematic. Just want drama. So, not enough drama.
Ash's favourite feeling?
Drama.
Yeah.
Inflicting it on others and walking away.
In your sheet that you sent out to guests, you said that the one thing you don't want is people being mean on this podcast.
Yeah. Because I have to be mean.
Oh, right. Okay, so you're the mean one.
I'm the mean one. I don't tell people that, and then it's a way to gain control, see.
Clever.
Yeah. This is all a bit. I love my friends. Okay. The next question. Barney, what's your happy place?
My happy place is definitely, and I feel like it's when I talk about this, sometimes people, especially in the artistic community, feel I get a lot of like, ugh. But my happy place is genuinely just like killing. But no, it is it's watching football, like be it soccer or AFL. Like it is like such a meditative, like it's so stupid, and the people that commentate it and present it, just like what are they even saying the whole time? Like it makes no sense. But there's just something about the like green grass and the lights and the pointlessness of the game, but everyone's like just trying so hard, and they've like millions and millions of dollars have been pumped into their bodies to do this, like to gather a ball and put it through sticks. And there's something about it that I don't know, I just find so relaxing. So I'm always excited. Like tonight, it's Friday. There's a football game on tonight, and I am so excited because I get to go to my like just my sweet meditation zone. Yeah. Oh, and Tour de France actually is another sweet meditation zone because all the aerial shots of them it's the worst sport, but all the aerial shots of them cycling through the mountains is like hypnotic.
I get that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's good.
There is something about. I still play basketball, but I like played since I was about 6, and I like work at the place where I like played growing up, and I feel that like watching a game, and now I like MC some games. So every now and then I'll be the person like number 2, got a shot, whatever, and I'll be in it and have to turn the mic off because I'm like, well, fuck, I'm like screaming from the sidelines all of a sudden, and I'm not allowed to have an opinion because I'm meant to just be telling people what's happening. And it's that thing where you're just like, what? I'll look around and be like, why are we here? Like someone will come up to me and be like, oh my God, did you hear about so-and-so? Like the board's not happy. And I'm like, there's a board? Why is there, like, what is this? Like, this is so dumb. But it's the best.
Oh, it's so good how you get so emotionally invested. Yeah, go on, Matt.
I was thinking about this yesterday. I cannot access whatever mindset is necessary to enjoy sports. I can't do it. I've tried and tried and tried. I don't get it.
I can't do it for any other sport except for basketball because I think because I know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I know what's going on, I think, rationally in like a game of footy or whatever it is, but I just can't, I don't know, I can't empathize with the people on the field or something. I can't enjoy sports.
Did you play sports growing up?
Fuck no. Well, I did. Like, I used to do a lot of... Yeah, exactly. Like, I was always put into teams and that sort of stuff. But, like, I played AFL for a year. I did Auskick for a year. And my dad was really excited and would, like, take me to the games to play and stuff. And I would just sit on the... I would try and calculate how many blades of grass were on the entire oval by counting...
I knew that'd be you.
By counting, like, a small section of the oval. I was like, okay, so if we can extrapolate that out... How many blades of grass are on this oval? And then a year after that, I started playing soccer. And in my first soccer game, I took a mark. And like, my dad was like, well, in a sense, I'm glad that he learned something from Auskick, but also he completely fucked up soccer. So yeah, I just I can't jive with it.
I wish I could. At the time when those kids, you'd like roll up and you have a game, and there'd always be a kid like that was like, "Do you want to just try and get ants out of the ground right now?" And you'd be like, dude, we're playing a serious game of AFL football. No. But, like, I wish I was that kid because my experience of it was, like, I was smaller than everyone else, like, not that great at it, but tried really hard. Like, and so,
but that's I just get smashed. Still learning. That's good. you know.
I think
true.
the one thing we
Try
can
hard.
agree on, Barn, what you said about how much you love sports is that I think we can both agree that they're completely pointless.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Are they?
Well,
are they?
the pointlessness is the point, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, I used to get yelled at by my coaches because I would be like skipping up and down the court and like just didn't give a shit. Because I was literally just there to be like, this is friendship. This is teamwork.
Right.
I like to encourage other people. And I would just be there like, this is fun, hanging out with my
that's nice.
friends. How can I find any excuse to not actually run? Like, how do I cheat the system so I don't have to exercise at all? That was me.
I played cricket for about a year or two, I think, and it was nice when you just said then that you liked encouraging people, Ash, and I was thinking like, I don't think that was ever really an appeal for me. But I remember playing cricket once. The opposing team like hit a ball up really high in the air. It was a really easy catch, so I called out. I saw my friend Matt Hope was running towards it to catch it, and before he'd even caught it, I was like, yeah, Hopey! Like, I was stoked for him, trying to be supportive, and he dropped it because I distracted him. And so I got I was reprimanded for being encouraging. So I think so I was like, oh, okay. Guess you just don't support your teammates then.
And that's why he's such a selfish son of a bitch now.
Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, it's Matt Hope's fault. I hope you're listening to this.
I'm Matt Hope, so.
Nice.
Thank you.
Hell
Thank
yeah. Hell yeah.
Matt, what's your favourite happy place? I read the other one and was like, that's wrong. What's your happy place?
My favorite happy place is in Sorel, Tasmania, because that's where I grew up, on top of a hill, on like a nice sort of big bushy area, and it's beautiful. You get a beautiful view of like the water, and you can go for these big walks, and you're just in like the countryside, and you can see a lot of horses and cows and shit like that. We have an echidna who lives on our block, and I'm obsessed with this fucking echidna.
Does it have a name?
No, actually, it doesn't. I've never named it, but it's beautiful. On New Year's this year, I was really excited to see the echidna, and like I went around for a walk on New Year's Eve, and I was like, I'm gonna find this echidna, and I didn't. But then the next morning, I woke up and I saw the echidna out the window. I was like, fuck yeah, what a way to start the new year. And then I got my phone out to go and take a picture of it, and when I turned my phone on, I had a voicemail from two of my like really drunk friends who were out on New Year's Eve in Melbourne. And it was just a voicemail of them just telling me how much they loved me. And so I started the new year with just this like, no hangover. I get to see this beautiful echidna that I'm obsessed with, and just listening to my friends talk about how much they love me. I was like, oh God, 2021's going to rule.
And it has.
It has. It's a good year.
Shout out to everyone in Tasmania. Thank you.
Shout out to Sorel. Shout out to it's my mum's birthday. Shout out to my mum.
Oh,
happy birthday to your mum. Wait, what's your
happy
mum's
birthday.
name?
Her name is Kathy.
Oh, Kathy.
That's
I think I've asked you this before, and every time I'm like, of course. Of course it's Kathy.
It checks out.
We appreciate you.
Oh, man, she rules. First time I met her, Matt and I had just done our first show together, like a scripted show. And I walked down, and she grabbed me by the arm and went, Barney Pollock, you're a good man. And I just, what a way to open, and that's her, that is her. She's awesome. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
but
birthday,
before we go to
Kath.
the next question, Matt, can you tell everyone about what she did with the Hamilton tickets?
Yeah, sure. Me and my sister were really excited to go and see Hamilton when it came to Sydney. So we'd sort of talked about it as a family. We were like, we're probably going to go. And Abby, my sister, was like, okay, I'll book the tickets. I've got booking the tickets under control. I've got like my American Express card or whatever, so I get like early go at buying the tickets. We're like, all good, no dramas. Then the day came out when the tickets got released, and we get a message in a group chat from Mum being like, guys, I've got the tickets. The tickets are ours. They're secured. And we were like, oh, okay, awesome. Like, no dramas. Sounds good. And she was like, what's more? We're sitting in the front row, baby. And we were like, that's fucking incredible, Mum. That's amazing. And she was like, and what's more than that? They were pretty affordable tickets. I was like, okay, that sounds a bit iffy. And then she sent us the seating plan for the theatre where we were going to go, and she had read it backwards, and we were sitting in the handicapped seating at the very rear of the theatre. I cannot tell you how anxious she was when the day we went to see Hamilton. We went to see it, and in the morning we went out for breakfast, and she was like, guys, before we go to the theatre, I have some more news about the tickets. And we're like, oh no. And she showed us the tickets and they say, in big letters on them, it's just like, vision obscured. Like, so we're like, oh great. So not only are we way up the back, we can't see half the fucking stage. And then we're standing in the lobby and like the people in wheelchairs or something went past us and Mum's like wringing her hands, like so anxious. She felt so bad. She was like, have I stolen these seats from these people? I've really fucked up. I've never seen her so anxious in my entire life. It was it was unbelievable. But then it turned out the seats were actually really nice, and I don't think they were actually accessible seating because you had to go upstairs to get to them.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they're upstairs on the balcony.
It turned out we were in like a little producer's box up the back. So everything turned out really, really beautifully. It was unbelievable.
Incredible. Happy birthday, Kathy.
Happy birthday, Kathy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mum.
Thank you.
For birthing me.
For birthing you. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
We thank you. We all thank you.
You've been thanked.
Thank you.
The next question is, what's your favourite song to cry to? What do you weep to?
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Children singing.
Yeah. Children singing, which is problematic, as we've already discussed. Yeah. I remember when I was in year 11 and I think I was with my first like high school girlfriend, like proper like girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I used to cycle through songs in my bed and try and find sad ones because I was like, God, won't be dramatic when we break up. Wow. Like, look how amazing this song is. But then we did break up, and I just felt terrible. Like there was no connection to the like simulation of sadness that I was trying to get. But in terms of like so when I was like 20, that song was Sufjan Stevens. Is it? I'm going to mispronounce this because I've never actually said it aloud, but it's Casimir Pulaski Day, which is a song about him singing about like his girlfriend who I think has cancer or something, and then she dies sort of in the song. And that one. But now it would probably be Into My Arms by Nick Cave, which gives me chills like every single time I listen to it. One of Us Cannot Be Wrong by Leonard Cohen as well. Which I love, and those two, yeah.
Excellent, love it. Live, laugh, love it. Matt,
live, laugh, love it.
Well, live, laugh, love. What songs do you live, laugh, cry to?
You have a lot, Barn. I worry that I'm some sort of emotional husk because I've got one, and it's Diamonds from Sierra Leone remix by Kanye West and Jay-Z. I only have one memory of ever crying to a song, and it was when I was driving across the Tasman Bridge on my way to school or something, and I was listening to that song, and there's this bit in the middle where Jay-Z basically takes over rapping in the middle of Kanye's verse, and he says, "I got it from here, yay, damn," and I started bawling because it was so awesome. And
that's amazing.
That's the only time. That's one of the only times I've ever cried to a song that I can think of. And the other one is probably when I went and saw Hamilton live. Like, I cried through all of that. But I think I was talking to you about this, Ash. The only parts, like, the second act of that musical is incredibly sad. Yeah. I didn't cry once in the second act, but all through the first act where it's all about, like, revolutionary fervor and these people, like, believing in the possibilities of their new country and stuff. That's all the stuff that really makes me cry. Like, that overwhelming positive emotion always makes me cry way more than negative emotion does.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Which is,
I find with those songs that I said, like same as Matt, like they're more just like simulations of the feeling of sadness as opposed to things that actually I think I've maybe cried once to Into My Arms by Nick Cave, but apart from that, they're not. Yeah, like I definitely prefer, like seeing something so amazing or so awe-inspiring is definitely more emotional. Yeah.
Well, and that's what the same when I see kids sing or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, that's like, youthful creativity and joy incarnate. Like, that's beautiful. That's a compressed sort of feeling right in front of me there. And it brings me to tears. I love that.
Beautiful. You're not a lifeless husk at all. See?
Thank God. Thank you.
Oh,
finally.
Someone had to tell him.
Yeah. Sorry, we've been gaslighting you for this long, telling you that you are. But we're here to tell you you're actually not.
At long last.
Happy birthday, Kathy!
Happy birthday, Kathy! We're almost done with the questions. One I have now is, who's someone that you admire? It can be anyone.
I don't know. I admire lots of people. Everyone in the world.
Everyone
who I
you
admire.
took out to drown in that improv class?
Yeah, I admire them in that improv class. Just like so many great people. Dalai Lama, Mary Magdalene. I just I admire them for their courage. Yeah. Michelle Obama, there's so many great people around. And Cruella de Vil, we know her backstory now. So that's, I admire her for what she went through. God, if I did if you put an improv gun to my head, I would probably, I would say, I would have to, I'd have to say the Prince of Egypt, Moses.
What?
No, my mum. It would be my mum.
Your mum, the Prince of Egypt.
My mum, the Prince of Egypt. That would be who.
You are the baby of the baby that was floating down the river.
Down that river, dodging the crocodiles, out into the desert zone.
Yeah.
Desert District
9.
Is that what it is in Hunger Games? I don't know.
What are you doing?
A to W, baby. A to W.
I'll accept it. I'll accept it. Matt, what about you? You gonna go with Moses also?
Yeah, he stole my answer. That's why I'm pissed.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I was just frantically looking around the room trying to pick my answer.
I admire water bottle, TV.
I admire my mum. That's a nice one. I admire my sister a lot. She's a really she's a surgeon, and I'm a guy doing a podcast at 2 p.m. So she's way more focused and disciplined, and probably more intelligent than me. She's amazing. So I really admire her. But I was looking around the room and I was looking at books and stuff, and the person, in terms of there's an author who I really admire. His name's Joseph Campbell. He's a guy. He's a comparative mythologist, and he was one of the first people who looked at all the different world religions and found the ways that they were similar rather than looking at how they were different. And I really admire that mindset. It's similar to the mindset of my grade 11 religion teacher, Andrew Webber. So I admire him as well. I'm just freeballing now.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, can I jump in and just say, I said my mum earlier, and I also have to say my dad, because if they listen to this and only one of them gets mentioned, the other one will be like, oh, so he admires you, does he? And I don't want to create that environment.
I admire my
both
dad
of them equally.
too, yeah.
And I would like to shout out
Yeah.
to all of your parents and say I admire them fucking to create you guys.
Yes.
Oh.
I admire that your parents
You
fuck.
and you have admired them fucking before, haven't you?
I actually saw both of you
visually
being
admired.
conceived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I like to make sure I choose my friends in advance. So the thing is, I've been around for hundreds of years. I go around, I watch conceptions, then I'm like, all right, that baby, write it down. And I go to the hospital and I'm ready when it's born. And then I'm like, all right, I'm at this point, I'm going to age to this age, the same age, make friends with this child. And then I have a log.
Well, hang on, Ash. I have to ask you something. Do you know the Prince of Egypt?
Oh, yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, crocodiles.
Yeah.
In that weird
That's
basket.
my parents. Yeah.
That's
your
my
parents.
parents. Yeah, it's your parents.
That's my parents. Ash, I have to ask you something. Oh, fuck.
How
what?
It was a silly question. Let's move on. It's not.
genuinely-
There's no
important.
silly questions.
There's
There's
no
no
silly
silly
questions.
questions.
Okay. So the question was, how big is my dad's dong?
And that's the bit that I'll be putting on Instagram. Jesus Christ.
Sorry,
right.
guys.
Well,
We love it. Okay, only 2 more questions. What's some weird kid shit you used to do?
Oh,
My favorite question.
Yeah. So I used to
shit.
on the dinosaur theme. I used to get into my Duna cover. Like I'd pull the covers off and go in the little space there, and I'd be like, I'm a dinosaur and I'm in a nest. And the game was that I would just lie there and be like, oh, I'm in a nest. Like, and that's all that would happen. But I'd do it for like go into this kind of like completely like different state of being in there. Like I would just lie there for ages. So that was pretty bizarre. And the other thing was that if we went to the shopping centre, we had a shopping centre near us called Karen Up Shopping Centre. And if I went there with my parents, they'd be like, okay, I'm doing the food shopping now. You can, sort of go around the shopping centre if you want. And I would, like, because of Turbo Brain, I'd be like, cool, I'm going to go to these shops, and I would run as fast as I could between the shops, like, because I was like, I've got to get there as quick as possible. Everything else is just like dead liminal space because it's a shopping center. So I need to like hit these shops, and so I'd be in all these shops, like 8 years old, like, like looking at like PlayStation 1 games, NEB games or something. Yeah.
But would you even enjoy the shops, or were you just trying to run from each one? Were you just trying to tick them all off?
I think, yeah, I enjoyed the shops.
Okay.
I think
I enjoyed the shops.
yeah.
I enjoy the shops.
I enjoyed shops. Don't say anything about me. Not enjoying them. Yeah.
Did someone say did anyone say I don't enjoy the shops?
Someone's suggesting I didn't enjoy the shops because I did. Yeah.
I enjoyed the shops.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Matt, what some weird kid shit you used to do?
Mine's also shop related. I used to go to, if I went to the shops with my mum, I would we'd just be walking along one moment, I'd be walking behind her, and she'd turn around and I'd just be stark naked, and I'd yell, it's nudie time, and then I'd just spend the rest of the trip nude.
How old were you?
I think young. I think like 5 or less. But
I think
still,
young.
like
I
5.
think like 17.
5's still like getting up there, but like I think I was relatively young, but I always used to love nudie time. A little bit of exhibitionism was my shit. It's nudie time. I still say that to this day when I'm when I'm with a partner or anything like that. I say it's nudie time, and I've never had sex.
Yeah, of course, and that's why, because it's always
it seems
about
like everything
to happen,
really drops off,
and then suddenly it's nudie time, and then the person leaves.
Yeah, for some reason, people don't respond to it the same way I do. For me, oh man, it really gets me going.
Yeah. Maybe you got a weird body.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
All right, okay.
I love that one of the instructions for this podcast is don't be mean.
Don't be mean. No meanies.
Maybe you have a weird
meanies.
body.
You are the meanie. And already once, Barney and I have already addressed the fact that Barney and I we're not mean. We're not about each other's bodies.
We're about
all
each
about
other's
the spirit.
spirits.
It's all about
I'm
the
the
spirit.
chief.
All about the culture.
He's small chief and I'm big hat.
All right, so the last question. I promise not to be mean anymore.
I find that hard to believe.
No,
Fool me once.
but well,
Fool me once, shame on me. I think.
Fool me twice, go out to drown.
Yep.
The last question, and quick answers, because I've delved into this, and you know what? It's pretty clear what the answer will always be. Do you think aliens are real?
Yes.
I think I wrote an answer to this question down because I didn't want to skew my words.
I want to know.
And this is what I wrote. Yeah, I wrote, I mean, sure.
That's it?
Yeah.
Incredible.
There's I think it's called Drake's equation. I'm sure someone's probably brought it up before, but it's the whole thing. It's like the equation that determines how much alien life there likely is based on what we already know. And no matter what numbers you put into it, it comes out as like there's probably like 10,000 planets in our solar system that have life on them. So that's an alien, you know?
Yeah.
They're out there.
Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. Fucking get over it, ding-dongs.
Drown ding-dongs. Get over it.
Drown ding-dongs. Get over it and drown.
Yeah. Build a bridge, get over it, jump off it, drown.
Jump off it.
Usually I ask people this and we just get really in depth, but it's always basically we just say the same thing. So
yeah.
I'm contemplating whether I should just get rid of the question, because it's like, how many different versions of "we can't be the only things, oh, how selfish are we" can people say?
It's nice to have a theme and like a moment of agreement at the end, towards the end of the pod. That's nice.
Yeah. One person said
Can I? Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Whoa.
which I liked.
That's-
I didn't like that.
hate
That was the
that.
answer. I liked having something different. I was like,
Yeah. I think it tells you a lot about that person.
Yeah. Can I have a go at answering it as if you hadn't said, like, let's get through it quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Do I think aliens are real? I mean, I think the human ego is so obsessed with itself that how could we possibly even determine if there's other life? Like, the idea that there isn't is just classic, like, you know, egoism. And like, we are just people on one planet, and there are thousands of planets out there. Have you heard of Drake's equation? So basically, what Drake's equation is math, and so I just think there's got to be aliens. Oh, have you seen those tapes released by the Pentagon, actually?
And
All right.
Scene.
Excellent.
How was that?
That was great. That was excellent. That was good. And just, if I'm correct, Drake's equation is you play Hotline Bling, and then you and then you do the 1 + 1 = window thing. Right?
No, Drake's equation is trying to work out how long he's got to wait until he can fuck Millie Bobby Brown.
Oh.
Oh, you know what? That's it.
5 stars.
That is his equation. That made me fall back so hard. I stepped on my headphone cord and like fell back. Wow. That was great.
Almost killed you.
Almost. You can't. I've been around for hundreds of years. Getting into the cool and smart topic. What are we talking about, guys?
I think we're talking about books. I think we're talking about.
We're talking about books. Word. I think. Yeah. Well, that's a topic that we are passionate about.
Yeah. As previously mentioned, talking about your podcast. What do you think? Now, just hear me out. This is a loaded question. What do you think makes a book good?
Ooh,
cancelled. You're cancelled. You can't ask that.
You can't ask that. Everyone knows you can't ask that.
Yeah.
That's the forbidden question.
Yeah, you can't ask that.
All right, how about what do you think makes a book bad?
Oh, okay. Well,
okay. Well, then that's a whole different story.
yeah.
What does make a book bad? I don't know. If it's such a case by case thing. I think, like, for me, it's not even just books. It's like the written word generally. I'm a big written word dude. So I think if something, Barney's talked about this before on our podcast. He doesn't like books that conform to a formula, and I disagree with him about that. In terms of, like, I like formulas and structures and that sort of thing. But if a book is like super similar to someone else's writing to the point that they have contributed nothing of themselves to the writing of it, and they're just writing for, I don't know, market share, or just to have said they have written a book or something, then that's a bad book to me, where it just doesn't have any like liveliness or dare I say soul to it.
And dare.
That's a bad book. I do dare. I dared and I did it.
Yeah, I think, like, in terms of what makes a bad book, you're probably more likely to have a bad book in the genre of biography, kind of going off what Matt said, where a lot of the time the books, not a lot of the time, but some of the time books that come out in that genre are exactly that, like, oh, this person has a bit of clout, and so if they release a biography, we can make shitloads of money, even though what has happened in their life is not particularly interesting for people to engage with, or doesn't have some kind of shared experience to which people can draw something from. So that, I would say that is, same answer as Matt.
My sister she's a doctor, as I've already mentioned, and she knows someone in the doctoring field who is the same age as her, at like arguably a less advanced position in her career.
Ooh.
And she's just written a memoir, and my sister's furious about it. She's absolutely outraged because she's like, she's writing a book, like, I've done more stuff than her. Why like, and I'm not writing a book about it. So you're clearly just doing it. Yeah, it's like that clout chasing kind of thing, or. But by the same token, I think, if you want to write a book, write a book. But I do get where she's coming from, in the sense that, like, if you don't really have a unique experience to be writing about, then I think it's probably just going to come out quite hollow.
Well, there's also, I've read a lot of autobiographies specifically, where it's maybe people do have a unique experience, but they can't write for shit.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
But it's that thing where it's the clout, as you say, the fame. They get a book deal and they're like, all right, well, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to talk about maybe something huge that's happened or things that might be interesting. And then you read it and you're like, how did this get, how is this published for people to pay money for?
It's unbelievable. Speaking of, this is another one we've talked about on the podcast before, Barney. But Morrissey from the Smiths. He wrote an autobiography, and he's an incredible writer. Like, he actually has an amazing facility with the English language. He's really, really good at putting words together. But he's just it's actually the opposite of what I said earlier. He's actually put so much of himself into it, and it just turns out that he's a fuckhead. So you don't want to read like 500 pages of this guy, of this fuckhead, talking about how awesome he reckons he is. It's atrocious. It's horrible to read.
You just want to hear him going, dun, 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 you know?
Yeah, that's my favourite one.
I think even like what you said, Ash, about even if it's something like amazing or incredible that's happened that you're trying to communicate through your autobiography or your memoir, like the most important thing is how you communicate what has occurred. Like Judith Lucy's new book, which is about her sort of being scammed by her partner. Like, that's happened to lots of people, right? And it's like, it is a big event, but the way that she communicates the event, even though it's maybe not as big as like Neil Armstrong writing a book about landing on the moon or whatever, it's the way it's communicated is so accessible and giving that that in that sense that makes it a extraordinary event, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I guess that's when people talk about like literary events and stuff. I think it's fair to say that we've contradicted ourselves enough times in trying to answer this question that the answer is probably that it's a case by case thing.
Yeah, of course. And everyone has different taste and things they want to be reading and things they want to be learning about, or
Big time.
Well, okay, well, I'll ask this question because I know for myself, the majority of the books that I read of like genre are like autobiographies, comedy, or I'm going to be completely honest, young adult fiction.
Fuck yeah.
Because I'm regressing, and that's okay. But I would ask each of you, what do you think is your favorite and least favorite genre?
I got two. I love fantasy and I love self-help books, baby.
Oh, love a self-help book. Yeah, absolutely.
Those are my top two. Absolutely love both of them.
I'll start with my least favorite two topics. They are fantasy and self-help books. Definitely those two. No thanks. Yeah. My favorite are probably I like short stories a lot that are I don't know what the genre would be like literary fiction, but that's nothing, right? Like that's so broad.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So like I like psychological horror.
Ooh,
that's also funny. That
I
would
love
be
a good
my
mystery.
Yeah. And I like creepy without going into like one of my favorite short stories is by an author called Peter Carey, which is about a man that lives in a pavilion. It's a post-apocalyptic, and 12 horses get delivered to the pavilion, and he just has to stop them from falling into the pool.
It is one of the funniest things you'll ever read in your life.
It's so good. So incredible. Good. Or like... you
go on.
I go on. Oh, wait, so don't hold. Yeah. The Shirley... I keep on going to say Shirley Bassey.
Shirley Jackson.
Shirley Jackson, thank you. A story called Paranoia, which is just about a guy who thinks that someone's following him home, and then he realizes that someone is following him home, and it's so good.
Okay. The Peter Carey story Barney was talking about, it's called Life and Death in the Southside Pavilion, and it's divided into like short sections. And section number 4 is just in all block letters. It just says, "I am here to stop the horses falling into the swimming pool." And I crack up every time I think about it. Like, they devoted an entire section to that. Oh, and then the next time that he uses all caps is just the sentence, "Every time I fuck Marie, I kill a horse." It's amazing.
It's wild. It's so good.
Holes, but
there's a lot of absent context, but man, it's so good. The thing about Barney's favorite genre being short stories, though, is Barney recommends me a lot of books that have short stories in them, and I read them and I adore them because I give them a chance. I'm not really a big short stories guy, but I give them a chance. Whereas I recommend Barney fantasy books, and we talk about fantasy books a lot, and Barney continues to just loathe them with all of his being. He refuses. He refuses to be swayed by my opinion whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, okay. So on that, I am reading a book that Matt lent me called The Lies of Locke Lamora. And it's a fantasy book, and I have to say I am actually really enjoying it. But apart from that, fantasy can fuck off. That's what I think.
Yeah, I definitely
and self-help
struggle with fantasy. I do that, but I like self-help that's specifically like statistics and this is the thing. Like if I listen to it, I can remember it. If I read it, I'm like, I can't deal with this. But if I listen to like a psychology book that's like partially self-help, that's like explaining specific things you can do that revolve around the psychology of why these things work, for some reason that makes me be like, I'm a genius. But regular self-help, I think if it doesn't have that element to it, I don't know if it's as palatable for me.
Yeah, I mostly do like self-help and stuff through audiobooks. There's something nice about it because it's like a wise person giving you advice. Just like in your ear. They're just like, try this, and this might be good for you as well. And there's a reason why you keep doing that. And you're like, oh yeah, thanks, disembodied voice.
Thank you for telling me about myself. I've been listening to, I think a lot of people have read this book. It's called The Body Keeps the Score, and it's all about like trauma. Ooh, yeah. Barney's like, fuck you, guys. Barney's like, fuck you, I'm going to go read Specky McGee, footy.
He keeps referring to the book that he's reading at the moment as Lockie Leonard, even though it's not called that.
What a classic. What a time in our
Lockie Leonard and Specky McGee are my heroes.
Yeah.
You just love Tim Winton.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you finding
really
Body Keeps the Score?
It's good. I'm listening to it slowly because it's a lot, like there's a lot of dark shit, like because it's all about basically like how your body holds trauma. And so like I'm mostly listening to it to kind of learn about that stuff for me with like physical pain stuff. But there's a lot of stuff, they talk about the ACEs, which are like things that basically that if these things happened in your childhood, you could have a certain level of trauma, and so things like, you know, alcoholism, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, all these things. And I'm like, I had such a wholesome, good childhood. None of this stuff applies. It's quite confronting.
Yeah.
I'm still listening to it, but I'm just like, let's go slow.
Yeah, take it easy. Just have it in sips. You know, you don't need to chug it. See, exactly. I always chug my audiobooks. I put them on, I listen to them on my iBooks app or whatever, and I turn the speed up to 2 times, and I barrel through them. I just inject that information straight into my ears. I love it.
Wow.
You gotta make time.
I savor none of it.
I would say The Body Keeps a Score is like probably one of the best self-help books that exist. Like it is very well written. It's written by someone who's qualified to write about the topic. It references academic journals. It makes arguments, some of which I disagree with, but I see the value in making those arguments. Like it is really, really good and really well written. My issue with self-help books is that sometimes I feel like they are cross-genre fantasy novels because they contain advice that they are giving to somebody that they've never met, which is completely devoid of context, and promises things to that person to which it can't deliver. And is written by somebody that's not qualified to give that information, which makes me furious, and it feels like they're exploiting people by giving them... It's like a sales pitch for these ideas that are actually not able to be implemented because you don't know all the main features of someone's life or their socioeconomic context, their relationships, their previous history. Like, I just think some of those books just...
So, sorry... But do you believe that if you want to write a book, you need to have one specific person in mind, know them back to front, and write the book so that only they may read it and understand it?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that when you write a book...
This is the first blood. This is the first blood.
Yeah, the first blood. When you write a self-help book, it's important to give the range to which you are, like, so in The Body Keeps a Score, it's not like you need to get up at 6 o'clock every morning, eat some ice cubes, and then go outside, go for a run for 10Ks, and then your day will be awesome. Like, it's like, these are theories about this thing that I'm talking about. This has worked. This hasn't worked. This works for these people. This works for these people. Like, it's like a lot more. It has greater breadth in what it's saying.
And kind of more considerate of every kind of person that could be taking in the information.
Yeah,
Totally.
I definitely think that's definitely the sort of like stuff that I would be interested in as well. I think anything that told me to wake up at 6 a.m. and eat ice cubes, or like gave me a specific, because that sounds more like a Joe Rogan YouTube video to me. Like that sounds more like someone being like, here's the hack to being an alpha male. You're the only one in your wolf pack, and you're the hero, baby. Oh, wake up at 4 a.m. and suck your own dick or whatever. Like that's insane. That's not. Yeah, that doesn't really fit the genre for me whatsoever. Yeah. I like the breadth of it, and I think of self-help books in the same way that like I really enjoy like tarot cards and all that sort of shit, and like astrology and all that kind of stuff. Even though I know rationally it's complete bananas. It doesn't technically mean anything. There's no scientific validity to any of it, but the value of it is you just interact with it intuitively and you decide what resonates with you. You take that and you fuck off. Like if I pick up the Emperor card or whatever, I'm just like, oh, that looks like a really confident person. Maybe I should try being more confident today or whatever. And then if you Google the meaning for it, you're like, oh, technically it means this and that. And you're like, oh, fuck that. I don't really want to do that, so I won't do that. And the same goes with a self-help book. You can read through it and just be like, oh, that sounds like something that might work for me. That sounds like something that won't.
Take your own meaning from it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel about every book, though. You just go through and you just take out the little nuggets. You're always panning for gold.
Yeah, I think that's great. But the issue is that not everyone has the ability to be critical when they read those books. Like if you take,
but you can't hold their hand. You don't like.
No. But what I'm saying is like Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, was a huge seller, right?
Yeah.
And lots of people bought it and read it and were like, yeah. The way you just got to like let go of things, and if bad shit's happened in the past, you got to move on, accept and it's like there are vulnerable people that read these books and take the advice from it and then implement it, and it's actually damaging. And it's like there is a degree of responsibility when you present information in a way that's meant to help people in a health setting, and I think that a lot of those books fail that test. That would be my closing remark.
Oh.
That's a very concise and agreeable closing remark. I completely agree with that. That's fantastic.
Great. Yeah.
And what's your closing remark, Matt?
Wake up at 4 a.m. and suck your own dick.
Suck your own dick. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Cool. If there was one self-help book that you would try to make Barney read specifically, that you think he would be able to take something away from. Even just one thing, but just something that you think that you could convince him to read, what would it be?
There's a series by a guy whose name escapes me now.
Well, that
helps. He has there's a series of, hang on, I'm going to Google it. He does a series of 3 books, and they're all about Stoicism and Stoic philosophy, which is like, philosophy in general is something that I'm pretty fascinated by. Mm-hmm. But he manages to distill them in such a way that they have a lot of cool historical information and that kind of thing. It's a guy named Ryan Holiday. And so he has 3 books that are called like Ego is the Enemy, The Obstacle is the Way, and Stillness is the Key. And I think they're all really great distillations of Stoic philosophy, looking at them through a modern context. And it's the same with, I've talked to Barney before about books like Mastery and the 48 Laws of Power, which are by a guy named Robert Greene, who actually was Ryan Holiday's mentor. And it's a similar thing where he takes historical examples and gives you a lot of historical information about interesting people throughout history and interprets that in ways that you could leverage in your own life, which I find quite fascinating. And I think Barney would like that. Barney recommended me a great self-help book, but arguably a self-help book called Waking Up by Sam Harris, which is all about spirituality without religion. Yeah. And I mean that changed my life in quite a significant way. That book did. So that one's on Barney.
Oh.
Barney gave me that.
Changing lives.
Hell yeah.
Changing lives, brother.
My favorite self-help book is Psychosis for Dummies
Page 1, take acid.
Yeah.
Page 2, continue to live your life.
You're actually describing Waking Up by Sam Harris.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what's the perfect reading conditions for each of you? I'm asking the real questions, guys.
Good question, yeah. Mine is sitting on this couch over here with a weighted blanket over my legs, with a cup of peppermint tea, and with a red pen in my hand.
For marking the book?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
For underlining.
Yeah, Barney?
Scores out of 10 for each line. Mine would be just lying in bed. I do all my reading in bed because it puts me to sleep. So, yeah, mine would just be lying in bed. I'd read on the couch. I'd read at the table.
I'd do it. I'd do it.
Yeah, I'd do it.
I don't, but I would.
I'd do it. I would do it. Yeah.
You're not really... Okay, I'm going to ask Ash this question again. What are the perfect reading conditions for you, Barney? What's your dream reading location?
Oh,
Ooh,
see.
Yeah.
Ooh. So which is something that we've spoken about before. It hinges on the mythology or the marketing around books as being this just cuddle up with a sweet hot cup of cocoa, put on your reading socks, big fluffy ones, settle on down in your nest, get in the doona, be a dinosaur in your nest and read a little book. So good.
And the doona lights up as well, so you're like, I can still see in my nest.
Yeah.
So Barney, is your ideal reading location you being 7 years old, wrapped up in your wrapped up in your dino nest?
In my dino, yeah. No, it would be like reading in bed. The bedroom is clean. The bed is clean. It is cold outside. It might be raining, and that would be That's the perfect.
I'm trying to think of what mine would be.
Yeah.
But it would need. Okay. There needs to be some kind of mechanism, which I'm sure there is, where for anyone listening, you'll just have to imagine this. But if you can see, here I have this bed head thing, and I could clip some kind of extension that goes and holds the book in front of me, because my weak little wrists and fingers get really sore holding books. So I would have this thing, and I would be lying flat, completely flat book over my head, and then I would be
awesome.
Turn page, and magic would turn my page, because then I wouldn't have to do anything.
If Wallace from Wallace and Gromit is listening to this, and you know how to assemble that machine, that would be brilliant.
Wallace,
I think that's what you're asking for.
A magician, I guess.
As soon as you said magic would turn the page, I was like, oh, she's at Hogwarts.
Yeah. Fuck.
What young adult fiction are you reading, Ash?
At the moment, I'm not, but I was a big John Green person back in the day.
Ooh, yeah.
But
cool.
I definitely have reread all those books. I think in my early 20s, I was like, let's do them all again, and was like, oh no, there's certain things that do not hold up. But there is something about them, you're like a horny little teenager reading books about these things. You're just like, oh, wow, imagine living on a campus where someone is killed, and then everyone's like, she was the best. That's what all these books are pretty much about. But I would say also, I think it's either David Levithan or Leviathan. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, but he did one book called Will Grayson, which was a crossover with John Green.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
And basically, I really liked it because it was two completely opposing. It was like every even chapter was John Green, and every odd chapter was this other guy. And there were two guys that had the exact same name. And this is one of my favorite books.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah, and they live in the same city, and then halfway through the book they meet each other, and it changes their lives, and then they go back to their lives.
Wow.
And all the John Green chapters are exactly what you'd assume. It's like a young boy at high school who's like, you shouldn't care about anything because then you get hurt, and I'm in love with this girl who doesn't know me, and I'm just an LGBTQ ally, and I'm the best person on the planet. Like, but why won't anyone suck my dick? Is like that. And then,
wow, I love this guy.
Yeah, he sounds great. But then the other character, the other Will Grayson, is like a chronically depressed, like emo gay kid who's just like, I fucking hate. It's quite honest.
Wow, I love this guy.
I love this guy, but it's quite honest, and it's a lot
us?
more. Yeah, actually, yeah. Well, who's who? I'll never tell. And it's all, for some reason, all of his is written in lowercase. But it's more so his
That's
inner
me.
thoughts.
I love lowercase.
And then I read a bunch of other books that this man wrote, and I really like them because they all have very different voices. Like, whereas I feel like a lot of the young adult fiction books, they all sound the same. Whereas,
and John Green's very one note. Like,
yeah, absolutely. And the fact that he wrote, would write so many characters, like would write from the perspective of young women, and he doesn't know what the fuck that is like.
Yeah. Have you ever seen like that men writing women subreddit on Reddit?
Yes.
It's very, very funny.
Yeah, it's insane.
That exact type of thing.
I'm looking at other books that I have here. John Corey Whaley also is a really good young adult fiction writer. He has a book called Where Things Come Back that's really, really good.
Cool.
Which is about this like small, I think it's like a small southern town. I haven't read it in a few years, but I used to read it over and over again. And a kid goes missing, and there's this whole, and these like basically two stories that in a similar way, but not in the same format, kind of are weaved together, and you don't really figure it out until the end, which I really liked.
Yeah, cool.
And I think I'm looking at other things. Oh, I loved, this isn't at all in that genre, but the Scott Pilgrim comics, just looking at them.
Oh, cool. I've never read the comics, but I bet they're amazing.
They're really, really funny. They're really good. What are you both reading right now?
Oh, man. Right now, I'm reading The Plague by Albert Camus.
Ooh.
Which is obviously very relevant. And it's very interesting because, it's an allegory for Nazism in Algeria, but it's like, it's also about an outbreak of an epidemic, like a plague. So you're like, and reading it and reading the way that they respond to a plague in the 40s, you're like, oh, that's the same as the way we respond to a plague today. Oh, what? People don't believe there's a plague? Oh, the doctors don't even want to admit there's a plague? It's like, oh, shit.
Oh, we haven't progressed at all. Great. And there's still Nazis as well. We really have.
Yeah, great. Really done, yeah.
I really want to read that. When the pandemic first kicked off here, people were so desperate to read something that sort of like was able to, like share their experience or explain their experience or whatever. And so you had all these people coming in being like, do you have any COVID-19 books? And at that stage, like no one had read one because it just happened. So the bookshop I work at, I reckon, sold like 150 copies in a week of Camus' The Plague to all these different people who were just like, just give me something. Yeah. It's so cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm reading that at the moment. And I've also just finished a book that Barney gave me the other week called The Dangers of Smoking in Bed by Mariana Enrique, which I think Barney also just finished.
Yeah.
And it was fucking awesome.
Yep.
It was so good.
Nominated for the International Booker Prize.
Well, I only found out today, Barn, that it came out, the translation came out this year, but it was written in 2009.
Yeah. So, it's quite an old book.
Yeah, it's cool. It explains why they talk about MySpace so much.
Oh,
yeah. They don't shut up about MySpace.
What's the premise of
Should have called it The Dangers of MySpace. It's just a bunch of short stories that are all like really, that genre Barney was talking about earlier, like psychological horror, real body horror, real, just visceral. A lot of the sense of smell comes up so often in the book in a way that I've never seen in a book before in my life. It's so vivid. There's so much shit.
It's like constantly exploring the abject. Every story has elements of the abject in it. Yeah.
That's exactly it. It's abject and uncanny. It's horrible, but amazing.
Yeah. It's so good.
What are you reading right now, Barney?
I'm reading The Lies of Lockie Leonard at the moment. Lies of Locklemore, which like I am digging big time. It's the first time I love sci-fi, but it's the first time that I've read a fantasy book in like 10 years that I've actually been like, oh, this is really good. Like this is well written. And I think part of it is because one of the things I hate about fantasy novels is the young hero or heroine. You always have to get through the first chapter where they live in an idyllic setting and then their parents die. And then they're like, no! And you're like, yeah, I get it. You're going to become the king. You're going to get all the gems, whatever. Like, but with this one, it's just like, that's already happened. And now we're in it. And so you're just like, it's you're immediately immersed into the situation versus any kind of that preamble that we already know because we've seen that story so many times.
Yeah.
So I'm loving it.
Starting in the middle,
dude.
as if it's an improv scene.
At some point,
way.
I really apologize, man, but you're going to hit some flashbacks.
Oh!
No.
But that's okay because they're coming after the thing, so it's not.
Yeah,
it's
okay. It's not as bad. Yeah. All right.
Actually, it's never idyllic. You'll appreciate it. It's all good.
Okay, cool.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it's great. That and Bella Green's memoir I'm reading. Yeah. Which is it's so good.
I've pre-ordered mine. I'm waiting.
Oh, very exciting. Yeah, it's such a good read. It's like, it's great, when your friend does something that you don't have to be like, oh, really good job. It's like, oh, this is genuinely great. Like, there's no pretense here for me having to pretend it's good or not. It's just, it's such a good book.
Incredible. Shout out to Bella.
Shout out. Yeah, what do you got?
I'm always reading. This is like a manual. It's not so much a book. It's called Funny on Purpose, The Definitive Guide to an Unpredictable Career in Comedy. And it says stand-up, improv, sketch, TV, writing, directing, YouTube. And it's like genuine tips on every little thing. Anyone doing anything creative, I recommend getting this. I used to have one.
That's amazing. That looks really cool.
It's good. And I think the guy who worked for I think it was the editor of The Onion wrote it. I can't remember. But basically I had a copy of it for a long time that I had like lots of notes and little tabs and stuff in. And a friend of mine borrowed it and then I was coming back here. So I was just like, you just keep it and I'll get another one. But it's got like really useful stuff like writing scripts and it's got advice in each one. Like things like make it funny, make it marketable, limit your locations, limit your characters, limit your elaborate action, like really specific things
cool.
to each type of thing that you can make. And then there's things from like experts in each thing. They'll have like a little quote or question answered from someone in that field. So like in stand up, an interview with Paul F. Tompkins. And he starts about like starting out, on bad advice, on perseverance. Different things like that. It's really good. So I'm reading that. And I'm reading the new David Sedaris book.
Oh, sick.
Barney's fave.
So
my fave. Yeah.
King of all kings.
Yeah.
I love that he just walks around.
Move over, Jesus. New King of Kings in town.
David Sedaris. I just love listening to him do it. Like hearing about his life. He's so weird and great.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. And all the stories of him just walking around picking up rubbish are so good. Oh my god.
He just seems like he's figured it all out.
Yeah,
he's great. And then I'm reading this book called Show Me Where It Hurts, and it's like this is more just like research for myself. It's living with an invisible illness, and it like goes through all these things. But it's someone who's like relatively my age or like within our age range, and not someone who's like, I'm a doctor and I'm telling you about this stuff. It's someone who's experienced it, which I have found really difficult to find. So I'm like, ooh. And she's got like a whole chapter where she explains her like a period of pain in her life through a playlist of like pop bangers.
Cool.
Love that. Anyway, so that's what I'm reading. And that's
awesome. That sounds awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. It's so interesting that you know, like you said, you found it difficult to find people writing books with experiences like that. There's this great podcast called We All Wear It Differently, which is interviewing psychologists that have just become a psychologist, like have just graduated and they're in their first job. And one of the guys in that has just become a clin psych, and he lives with chronic pain. He's got arthritis, and he's talking about how difficult, so how difficult it was for him to find access to stories or accounts or just things not coming from doctors who are like, yeah, well, this is what you feel. And he's like, no, but that's not it.
Yeah.
It's it really opened I want to read that now because that really opened my eyes. I was like, wow, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in my experience, I won't get into this too much because it's like, I've talked about it a lot, but it's like, it's genuinely difficult to find people talking, just being like, this is whether it's like, these are the symptoms I have or whatever it is. Like I'm in a couple of Facebook groups and stuff, and still it's just kind of people being like, what, has anyone tried this medication? Which is helpful to an extent, but it's really genuinely hard to find people talk about things, I think, because there's like a level of like shame and stigma and stuff when it's invisible stuff specifically. I think a lot of people try to just push through and all that stuff.
I had an experience sort of similar to that in a way recently. Like I found I did some reading recently about giftedness in adults, because like when I was a kid, I was like a gifted kid and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And then I found a book about the experience of being an adult in that situation, and I read it, and it was absolutely enlightening. Like to have, I'd never really had that experience before of someone repeating your own life back to you, kind of thing, of being like, oh my God, like it felt so validating. It was so lovely to just be like, oh my God, this is a thing that like lots of people know about, and it is different, and it's there's recommendations and like ways to, things you can do that will probably improve your experience and that kind of stuff. It was amazing. I really appreciate that perspective now, because there were so many books that I didn't really glom onto because I was like, oh, I can't relate to this. And then reading something, I was like, oh, this is like talking about what's going on inside my brain. I get this perfectly. This explains so much. Like it was like looking in a mirror. It was great. I loved it.
That's so good. What was that book called?
It was called The Rainforest Mind, I think.
Okay.
I can't remember who wrote it.
I have like a family friend in my life who has been through a similar thing. It's kind of like discussions with them and hearing that it's like, oh yeah, you're raised with like this level of expectation that you're going to do something incredible, and then you're like, yeah, but I'm a human being. I need to have a life and like take care of myself and do all of this stuff too.
I just want to chill.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you don't need to do something.
But there's also like, and I mean, it was you saying that there's sort of that level of like shame and stigma and stuff attached to it that sort of reminded me of it, because that's the weird thing with like something like that, like it feels weirdly shameful to be like, oh yeah, I was a gifted child or whatever. Be like, oh yeah, all right, nerd, all right, you little fucking clever clogs, get out of here. Like, oh, okay,
clever
sorry.
Clogs. Yeah. You should get a t-shirt made up that has a picture of clogs, or you should get clogs made that have clever written on one and then clogs on the other. That's
awesome. That's it.
So then you're thinking hat. Instead of a thinking cap, you put those on and you're like, I'm ready.
De Bono's thinking clogs. That's great.
When we were doing child psychology at school, one of the things that we did a whole section on gifted children, and I remember at the time being like, why are we doing this? Like these guys are the top of the pops. These guys are the clever clogs. Okay, they got them shoes. Like, but then when you like exactly what you just described, Matt, it's like, oh, oh right. There's all these other experiences and all this other stuff. Yeah.
Intellectually, you're set for life, but psychologically and socially, you're fucked.
Yeah,
it's a disaster.
In accessing, I wonder for either of you, when you access stuff online, be it through Facebook or Instagram or whatever, about whatever you want to, be it pain or giftedness. I know with all the ADHD stuff, there is a split between really great things that are like, this is the experience from, how it's like this, and you're like, yeah, cool. And then there's all this other weird, infantilizing, like, oh, sorry, I forgot that my phone was on the bench. I've got no object permanence because I have ADHD. And it's like, if you didn't have that, you'd probably be dead now. Like, what are you talking about?
You would have been hit by a truck.
Yeah, like what? It's this weird, like, maybe an overcorrection, I don't know. But yeah. Have you had that experience?
I don't get, when it comes to health issues or that sort of stuff, I just don't get my information from Instagram or Facebook as a rule. I think that's just
I get all my info.
Yeah, I think that's just probably not the place to go, because I've seen a lot of that too. And I saw a really great video about, like, it was a woman talking to herself, like a TikTok sort of thing, with talking about the prevalence of people who are diagnosing themselves with stuff off TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And she talks about it, and it's like the two sides of the conversation. She's like, well, so what if they are? Like, if these tips are working for them, they're working for them, And maybe it encourages them to go to the doctor and they find out something else is going on with them. Or at the very least, they've discovered a community of people who have a similar mindset to them and all that sort of stuff. And she really spelled out sort of the value of that kind of online WebMD style self-diagnosis stuff, which I've always cringed at as well. But when I saw it like that, it really put it in a different light. I was like, oh, maybe there is some value to it.
Yeah. I think my experience has been, like I said before, there seems to be a lack of people explaining like their specific situation. And like, so I have rheumatoid arthritis, and then I have chronic pain from an issue with like a dysfunctional joint in my back. So the combinations of those two things, they're separate issues, but similar kind of stuff. But it's hard because it seems like with pain specifically, every single person's condition, specific symptoms is like different. It's really hard to find someone who's going through the exact same thing. So then you develop a little bit of like, I'm not like other girls complex. And then going online, it's very funny because I follow a lot of like pages that are like not memes, but like posts where beautiful communities where people are sharing art around their situation, or explaining like, I got out of bed today and that was hard, but I did it. And it's so funny, depending on the day, I'll look at that and be like, what a fucking wanker. Like, oh my God. Like, it'll be like, literally it'll just be that quote, nevertheless she persisted, and I'll be like, and then it'll have like dash someone with chronic illness, and I'll be like, Jesus Christ. And then the next day I might see the same thing and weep and just be like, that's it.
Beautiful.
that's it.
That is definitely my experience. I'm like, you fucking tourist, what are you trying to do here? Like, what's your goal? Or be like, oh my God, that's exactly how my day's been, and they've just done it perfectly with their one quote attributed to Anonymous. That's amazing.
Exactly.
I hate to go off on a tangent here, but Barney has been gunning to call someone a tourist on the podcast for weeks, and he's
I did it.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did it. Not we did it, Joe. We did it, Kathy. Happy birthday, Kathy.
Happy birthday, Kathy.
It's funny because when this is released, it will no longer be her birthday.
It's fine. She will still listen to it, and she will still love it.
We love you, Kathy.
I love you, Kat.
All right. Well, this has been so lovely. Thank you guys so much for taking so much time to have this chat. I would like to just ask you.
Sorry, it's just we all have a lot on at the moment. We're all really busy, so it was hard to find the time,
I know.
Yeah,
I had to pay. This is the first guest that I've paid to be on, actually.
Yeah,
I'm broke now. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent, but you know what? Worth it for this chat.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Can you
just
please
listen to this?
Listen to this. Will give me some
Show your landlord
entrepreneurial power to be like, find money. Please let everyone know where they can find your podcast and your like social media stuff and just general plugs.
Yeah, I think we're on all the podcast platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, like Deezer and all that sort of stuff. It's all up on Simplecast. It's called the Cool and Smart Book Club. Type that in and you'll find it. We also do a monthly show at the Improv Conspiracy Theatre in Melbourne called the Cool and Smart Very Funny Comedy Hour. The next one is on
July 10th.
I don't know when this is coming out. That's all we've got going on. I know Barney has another podcast that he probably wants to plug.
Yeah.
I do another podcast that's specifically football related called A Bit Spursy with the wonderful Dan Thomas. I won't plug it because it's very niche and would be excruciating to listen to if you weren't obsessed with the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. So don't listen to it unless that is your passion, because otherwise you will hate it. Like I do sometimes when I listen to it, because I'm like, shut up.
Yeah, so stick to the Cool and Smart Book Club podcast, and we're also
stick to that.
We're also on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, and our name is Cool and Smert, so it's like KEWL and SMERT. You'll find us
amazing.
there.
I was just going to be like, can you clarify the spelling? Because I know it's at least starting with a K. So thank you.
Cool.
Cool.
Cool and Smert.
I appreciate you both. This has been so much fun. Genuinely, I woke up today and was like, "Duh, I'm not gonna laugh once today." And then you fucking did it. You brought out the lols.
Sure showed you.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I had a great time. Thanks so much for having me.
Anytime.
Yeah, it was an
Thank
absolute
you both
blast.
so much.
I loved it.
Have a lovely rest of your day. And anyone out there, if you need to find me on anything, at Ashley Crap App on everything. All right, everything. Instagram's
Put
probably
that
the
on
easiest
everything
place to find everything. But it's Twitter, it's Twitch, it's Instagram, it's all of it. Come hang out and play Sims with me sometime. Whatever you want. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley.
Boys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.